Shall we? When I returned to Russia after having spent 9 years in the United States, I found a few things refreshing. Yes, every country, every place has some advantages and disadvantages. So, one of the advantages of Russia was the entire country lived according to the rule of common sense. I mean, all people. What do I mean? I'll give you a couple of examples. Remember that case when a lady bought a hot tea at McDonald's and started driving, and all of a sudden, you know, she put some of that tea in her knees, burned, and she sued McDonald's, and McDonald's paid her $500,000. That would not happen in Russia in any way, because it's just common sense. If you buy hot tea, you put it on your knees or right next to your knees and you start driving, hey, you know what? You're doing it at your own risk. It just makes sense that tea is hot. Another example, a playground. When a parent takes a child to a playground, it is common sense that the parent bears responsibility for the child. And if a child climbs up to a ladder, falls down, breaks a leg or a foot or, hand, then it's responsibility of the parent, not the responsibility of whoever put the playground in place. And it's usually, playgrounds are usually open to public in Russia, and they're paid by Russian government, Russian budget. So you take your kid out to play, you watch. This is common sense. And things like that. Russians lived according to the rule of common sense, reason, and logic to some extent. But you know what? Common sense, logic, and reason have disappeared into the thin air in the last 10 months. Now, recently, things that have been happening in Russia, I don't even know how to explain them. They remind me more and more of Russia turning into a madhouse. Let me explain what I mean. Howdy, everyone. This is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where I give you updates on things that happen in Russia, news updates, recent developments, current events happening, my takes and views on them. Usual Russia explained by the unusual Russian. That's me. Very strange things have been happening in Russia. I am sitting here in the last weeks, and, I keep up with everything that is going on in my country. Recent weeks have been very strange because things have started happening that I cannot explain, and they cannot be explained according to things that I like so much: common sense, reason, logic. Instead of trying to explain, I will give you examples, and then you decide what do you think of these events and what do you think of these things. I don't even know how to describe them really. And at the very end of the stream, I'll tell you my general take on what this horrible, horrendous, bad things are leading Russia into. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'll be quoting a lot. Now, the events and people. What people, usually the authorities, say and make public statements in the events that happen. I will start with a funny one, a strange one, just to warm you up a little bit. Today, Russian State Duma, Russian Parliament, approved the introduction of fines up to 450,000 rubles. That's about $8,000, depending on the currency exchange rate. $8,000 for improper handling of manure. Yes, we've been said thousands, tens of thousands of times that in the last year, Russia is at war with the collective West, with NATO. Russia is facing hard times because the entire NATO forces are against Russia and so forth. And Russian parliament is doing tremendously important work of introducing new fines for improper handling of manure. You know, that I can actually understand. What I don't understand is how they define improper handling of manure. What is proper and what is improper? That's interesting. Just like with the special military operation. We're denazifying Ukraine. Where are the Nazis? Who are the Nazis? How many Nazis? Doesn't matter. We just denazifying. Oh, you are handling manure improperly? Well, pay the fine. Budget needs your money. Moving on. A recent event happened, an interesting event. You see, some events are very small, tiny, but they are so important, adds beyond belief. That's one of these events. There is a fella, lives in Pskov province, in the city of Pskov. His name is Artur Gaiduk, and he is one of the members of regional parliament. So he made a written inquiry to the office of the President of Russia, asking about the mobilization. When has it ended, or what's going on with mobilization? And he got a written response. And the response said that mobilization is still going on, but notification and conscription of citizens in reserves have been completed. And military commissars, the officers at the mobilization centers, continued to recruit military units at the expense of volunteers and contractors. So you see, they're still taking volunteers and contractors. Contractors means professional military personnel who sign contract. In Russia, they're called contractors. Doesn't make any sense, because in the official channels they say orally, oh, mobilization has ended, oh, we've had enough people, but when you make a written inquiry, they give you a completely different answer. This just does not make any sense whatsoever. Moving on. There is a very important Russian who works in New York City at the United Nations office, and his last name is Nebenzia. He's very known. He's a representative of Russia. He's the face, the voice, the figure of Russia at the United Nations, the spokesperson. And he just recently said that Ukraine is to blame itself for the deaths of civilians in Dnipro. No, I repeat it one more time. Ukraine is to blame itself for the deaths of civilians in the Dnipro. It just doesn't make any sense. Moving on. In Moscow, the police force, policemen detained 4 people who came to Ukrainian monument dedicated to Lesia Ukrainka, that's a national Ukrainian hero, to lay flowers in memory of those killed by the Russian military in the Dnipro. In Russia, it is now forbidden not to support the killing of the civilians, it seems like. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Moving on, the village of Pesky. Very, very interesting place. It's a small village in Ukraine, obviously. And it's unique because I'm going to quote Russian Ministry of Defense. The messages that it sent us, it gave us about this village of Pesky. July 2022. We took the village of Pesky, they said. In August 2022, we took the village of Pesky, they said. In September 2022, we took the village of Pesky, they said. And in January 2023, we took the village near the village of Pesky, they said. My friends, this does not make any sense whatsoever. Moving on, that's an interesting one, and that concerns me directly. The senators of the concerned senators, and their names are not known. I knew that they were concerned citizens in Russia. Okay, that's not a very novel concept, but the concerned senators are actually a very novel concept to me. So the concerned senators of Russian State Duma, Russian Parliament, are actively working on a project on confiscation of property of Russians who have left the country and who are harming the country with their actions. Okay, that's interesting. Let me tell you more about that, because that really is worth taking a closer look into. Deputies of the State Duma, well, I think they mean senators of the State Duma, are actively working on a project on the confiscating property of Russians who have left Russia. Now, let me quote a very important guy. Some Russian citizens have recently considered it possible to insult the country, the fellow Russians, military personnel, and openly support villains, Nazis, and murderers. There are not enough existing tools to respond to such actions. I'm quoting the State Duma speaker, Vyacheslav Volodin, very famous heavyweight politician guy, one of the most important people in Russia. That's not just like a regular local politician. That's top of the top. Probably number 4 or 5 in the hierarchy of Russian vertical of power. Vyacheslav Volodin stated it on his Telegram channel. It's very ironic that all Russian politicians use Telegram to post their messages, because they were trying to they made Telegram illegal, and they were trying to prosecute people who were using Telegram for quite a few years, from 17 to 20, I believe, for 3 years. Now they abandoned that idea, and now they use Telegram extensively themselves. So anyway, back to what Volodin said. He believes that the scoundrels who have moved abroad continue to publicly pour dirt on Russia, while they still have real estate for rent in the country. Landlords, huh? And their fees consist of, their salaries, their revenue consists of funds from Russian citizens, who obviously rent their apartments, who they left behind. According to Vyacheslav Volodin, this expresses their sense of impunity, since they are sure that Russian agencies, government agencies, police, KGB, and so forth, will not and cannot get them, since they're abroad. But their statements, I take it pouring dirt on Russia, can be regarded as calls to extremism, rehabilitation of Nazism, or discrediting the armed forces. How about that? In this situation, it would be right to supplement the relevant articles of the Criminal Code of Russian Federation with item on that allows to confiscate property from the scoundrels that is left in Russian Federation, which those scoundrels have enough to compensate for the damage they caused to the country, Volodin wrote. What can I say? I have been residing in Uzbekistan since September 27th, and I think that Vyacheslav Volodin is also calling me a scoundrel, and he's calling hundreds of people that I personally know scoundrels. I didn't see any scoundrels. I saw a lot of people disapproving, actually most people, all people who are in Uzbekistan, there are disapproving the actions of Russia everywhere, in Ukraine, domestically, and so forth. I have heard a lot of them criticizing what Russia has been doing everywhere, domestically and, internationally. And quite a few of them actually have property left. Yeah, he's right. But them criticizing Russia, is it enough for Russia to confiscate their properties? They want to finish off these people, The people already broken. A lot of them have broken. They're going through a real hard time, and the Russian State Duma wants to finish them off. Anyway, well, I can understand that. This is not... This is basically an act of revenge, okay? But another very heavyweight politician, Andrei Klishas, also commented on this matter. He said that, I quote, "Some of my colleagues have their desires to make statements of cosmic scale, their desires winning over everything. It is unconstitutional," meaning to confiscate property of people who left. "Therefore, it cannot be done, period." Now, Andrei Klishas is, again, not your typical small-time politician. He is a heavyweight. He's introduced, he's one of the who is who, And he clearly made a statement that contradicts Volodin's statement. But it doesn't matter that it's not unconstitutional, because a group of concerned senators, don't you love that, are working hard right now to make that change of Russian criminal code a reality. Even though it's unconstitutional, it doesn't matter. There's another group of senators, they're saying that in order to introduce such changes to Russia's criminal code, a tremendous work is needed to change the entire philosophy of Russian criminal prosecution, system. The entire system needs to be changed. But this group of concerned senators, they don't really care. So anyway, they're working hard. We'll see what happens. Basically, to sum up what they're doing is they're asking us, do you want to return to Russia? No, we say. Well, we'll confiscate your property. Will you still return to Russia? Will you return to Russia after that? No, we won't. Well, then we won't let you back. That's what Dmitry Medvedev proposed right before the New Year. Well, we're still not going to return to Russia. Well, we'll shoot you. And now, don't you want to come back? No. But why? You see, this whole thing doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, moving on. The Kremlin has promised a swift, strong, and fearful response to the oil price ceiling that was introduced quite some time ago and took an effect on December 5th. Well, the West introduced the price ceiling of $60, meaning whatever is above $60 cannot be traded. Like the countries who buy oil from Russia, they cannot pay more than $60 to Russia. And Putin responded by banning sale of oil to those who recognize the ceiling, meaning using the ceiling. As a result, Russian oil is being sold at $39 per barrel, the Urals brand. And Putin is preparing another swift and fearful response to that. Vladimir Putin, please don't do any more responses, because after another response, the price of oil might fall to like $29, and Russia wouldn't be getting even as much. So please don't. That just doesn't make any sense. Moving on. That's an unpleasant and scary one. In the near future, YouTube will be closed. Those who continue to use it will be found and prosecuted. I just quoted the founder of Wagner private military company, private army, Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin. He said, and now I'll tell you one thing in confidence. No matter how much the scum who pretend to participate, but in fact interfere with us in a special military operation, who wear Russian flags on May 9th, but place relatives abroad and go to Dubai to play golf. He is plenty of Russians in Dubai right now. I would say like tens of thousands. YouTube will be closed in near future. And those who are actively continue to use YouTube in turn will be identified and will be punished deservedly after it's banned. Prigozhin released the press service, his press service made a release. What can I say? Who is Prigozhin? He is a former cook. He did time multiple times in the USSR for, I will not say because I can be mistaken. That's what happened a long time ago. I'm not an expert on that. But he definitely did time in the USSR. And his second term was a very lengthy one. And then he became cook, and he was cooking for Vladimir Putin. And in my mind, he still remains the cook. Now, how can cook make statements like that? You know, he doesn't hold any position in the Russian government. He is not a lawmaker. He is not. He's not employed by any of the Russian agencies, and yet he makes such a statement. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And another thing that doesn't make any sense is that his statement goes uncommented by KGB, who should be watching closely. If another civilian makes a statement like that, I think that there will be a swift response from, certain agencies. But it's been silence so far. Now, moving on. This is a great one. This actually, after reading this news, I decided to name the stream the way I named it, because it not only doesn't make sense, it elevates not making sense onto a completely different level. It it elevates simply from not making sense to madhouse. Okay, Listen to this very carefully. Vyacheslav Volodin, who you already know, the head of the Speaker of Russian Parliament, the Russian State Duma, he urged to have civil service positions such as senators, mayors, pretty much everyone who is employed by the government and is a civil servant. So he urged to have civil service positions available only to those who served in the army. So in his opinion, government career growth will be available and must be available only to those who can and should protect the country. Now, let it sink in a little bit to you. You know why? Because Volodin himself, Vladimir Putin, Sergei Shoigu, the Minister of Defense, Mikhail Mishustin, the Prime Minister of Russian Federation, and Dmitry Medvedev, the second president of Russia, and now the deputy head of Russia Security Council, and the deputy head of Russia Military Industrial Commission. None of them served in the army. None of them served in the army. So if this new initiative introduced by Vyacheslav Volodin becomes a law, what happens to Putin, Shoigu, Volodin himself, Medvedev? Will they have to resign according to a new law? How can they defend the country if they haven't served in the army? Well, anyway, this is a very good one. I don't even say it doesn't make any sense because it's kind of absurd. Moving on. This is a very sad one. Some time ago, after the start of the special military operation, what really is a war, there was a teenager. Once upon a time, there was a teenager in Russia playing Minecraft. Minecraft is a hugely popular game that you play online. So he built his little world in the Minecraft, his, I guess, Moscow, whatever. And inside Minecraft, he wanted to blow up the FSB building, KGB building in Moscow on Lubyanka Square. He was identified and he was arrested. There was criminal investigation and he was sentenced. The verdict, judge just announced the verdict. Final sentence. Nikita Uvarov received 5 years in prison for articles, the Russian Criminal Code articles of training for terrorist purposes and illegal manufacture of explosive devices in their storage. I will not be commenting this. You just think for yourself and try to this information sink in. A teenager who was playing Minecraft was sentenced to 5 years in prison for training for terrorist purposes and illegal manufacture of explosive devices in their storage inside Minecraft. I don't know what to say. Moving on. Another sad one. A 5th grader from Moscow recently was registered with the police as teenage offender because the girl skipped lessons about important things. Now, so you understand two things. First, they're called difficult teenagers. Teenagers that break law, that break Russian criminal code, well, do something that qualifies as breaking the law according to Russian criminal code. Usually it's kids whose parents are alcoholics, neglect upbringing, education, and so forth. Tough kids, okay? But they are registered with the police if they steal something or if they, beat someone up real bad, or they threaten someone, or they take a knife and cut someone with a knife at school. Things like that, They're registered with the police. That's the first measure how not to let a teenager develop into a hardcore criminal. That's how they try to do it in Russia. And these new lessons have been introduced in Russian schools. They're called the lessons about or of important things. So basically it's propaganda, pure propaganda. It's once a week and all kids must attend it. And basically teachers tell them the role of Russia in the world, the role of special military operation and so forth. So the girl who skipped lessons about these things a few times was reported and registered as a teenage offender with the police. I don't know what to say. Moving on. An issue concerning mobilization. Vladimir Putin, I'm going to quote him, he was recently speaking publicly, I think no later than today, and he said that the issue of deferral from conscription for people working in the defense industry will be taken care in the near future. Well, it doesn't make any sense because according to himself, the public statement he made himself a couple months ago, the mobilization over. So there's no need for these people, young people who are subjects of, mobilization conscription to protect them. So to defer them from it doesn't make any sense, does it? All right, this is a very sad one as well. Moving on to the next one. Dmitry Koryagin. Meet Dmitry Koryagin. He's quite a famous person in Russia now. He was sentenced to 14 and a half years in prison, high security prison, maximum security prison, back in 2019. And his crime was he took a hammer and beat his 87-year-old grandmother, who's a World War II veteran, with a hammer to get some money from her. And basically he left her to die in the basement after he beat her. So he was sentenced to 14 and a half years in prison. Year of 2023, about 6 months ago, Dmitry Koryagin was offered to join Wagner Group, and with a promise if he would serve 6 months, he would be released and his sentence would be cleared off. No criminal record, Year 2023, well, that was in year 2022, in the middle of the year. And year is 2023 now. Koryagin alive, and as a reward for his service after completing 6 months, he received freedom from the group's founder, Prigozhin. So it seems like Russia does not need any World War II veterans. And those who rob, rape, kill, they receive their freedom money in awards. And you know what, my friends? That's not the country that I knew. This does not make any sense because people who rob, rape, and kill, they belong to prison. There was a system that would catch them investigate the crimes, would send the investigation results to courts, and these people would be sentenced to, prison terms according to their crimes. But it seems like it's no longer so. Anyone, regardless of whatever they're serving for, can just join Wagner Group, and in 6 months, if he's alive, he'd get his freedom no matter what, Does not make any sense whatsoever. This is definitely Madhouse. Moving on. An interesting observation. It took me a couple weeks to it clicked right here. Vladimir Putin offered Ukraine a ceasefire for Orthodox Christmas. You remember that, I covered it. 36 hours of ceasefire. Now, it took me 2 weeks to understand. There's a problem here. We had been told hundreds of times that we're not at war with Ukraine. We're at war with NATO and collective West. In this case, why did Vladimir Putin offer ceasefire to Ukraine instead of offering to NATO and the collective West? Think about that. I personally have nothing to add. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm moving on to the next one, a very good one. On January 9th, 2023, the head of Russian Security Council, man number 2 in Russia, Patrushev, he publicly said, very serious guy, he publicly said that Russia is not fighting Ukraine. Yet his boss, just 3 days prior, offered Ukraine a ceasefire. Ceasefire, not fighting Ukraine. Ceasefire, not at war with Ukraine. The hell is going on? Oh, moving on. And I'm gonna finish off today's message with the speech of Vladimir Putin from today. He was meeting today is the anniversary of the siege of Leningrad. It's called St. Petersburg. So Vladimir Putin came to St. Petersburg, and one of the monuments to the ones who were under siege, and he gave flowers, laid flowers, and then he addressed the veterans of World War II who were sieged at World War II. And he made very interesting points. And I'm gonna read what he said. In fact, full-scale military operations in Donbass have not stopped since 2014. With the use of heavy equipment, artillery, tanks, and aviation, it was all happening. Everything we are doing today, including the special military operation, is, as I have repeatedly said, an attempt to end this war. That's the point of our operation, and to protect our people who live there in those territories. I'm quoting Vladimir Putin. According to him, Russia considers Donbass its historical territories and historically reconciled with them after the collapse of the USSR. They passed on to Ukraine. It was not fair. But the Russian authorities, according to him, could not help but react to what began to happen in Ukraine after Maidan in 2014, the changeover of power, when they began, in fact, to exterminate people who were living in those territories. They, I take it, Ukrainian authorities. Vladimir Putin added that the Russian authorities tolerated and tried to negotiate to resolve the situation by peaceful means, but the Ukrainian side, according to him, was going to transfer the conflict into the acute and hot phase. There was nothing left for us except what we're doing now, Putin said. He repeated himself. On the 24th of February, he said that he was forced to start the special military operation. He was forced to attack Ukraine. He was forced to press the button, basically. I continue quoting him. Everything we're doing today, including our own, is an attempt to stop this war and protect our people who live in these territories, Donetsk and Lugansk. These are historical territories, Putin said at the meeting with veterans and blockade fighters in St. Petersburg. Basically, the summary of his statement is this. Russia carefully records all the crimes against the civilian population in Ukraine that the current leaders and militants are doing there. Russia was just led by the nose, deceived. This is not the first time this has happened to Russians, and it continues to happen. I take it deceived by the West. Russia has never reminded anyone that military personnel from many European countries participated in the siege of Leningrad at the side of the Germans. Oh well. In Ukraine, a lot of people understand the whole truth about what's happening. Please, show me 5. Russia tried to find a peaceful way to resolve the conflict in Donbass, but it was impossible. The enemy was preparing for war. And the last one, the Bandera supporters are Nazis. They collaborated with the German occupiers in World War II, and those who glorify them today are neo-Nazis. Many things in this speech don't make any sense to me. Like, in Ukraine, a lot of people understand the whole truth about what is happening. Well, show me at least 5 people who understand, who openly stand out and say, well, I understand what's happening, the whole truth. Well, please. It doesn't make any sense to just say phrases like, oh, they understand. Show us. Give us the names. Give us the statements. Give us the facts. We were just led by the nose, deceived, and this is not the first time this happened to us and continues to happen. Deceived by the West. Give us the facts when we were deceived. The deceive has name. Every deceive has name. Every move has a record. So give us time, date, and the event when we were deceived every single time. We'll think about that. Russia carefully records all the crimes against civilians populations in Ukraine that the current leaders and militants are doing there. Does it work for Ukrainians only or for Russians as well? Banderas are Nazis. They collaborated with the German occupiers. Those who glorify them are neo-Nazis. Are there neo-Nazis in Russia? I personally have seen some. What happens to them? Russian neo-Nazis. Go to Moscow subway. You'll find some if you look close enough, Lots of neo-Nazis jumped onto Armenians, Georgians, people who didn't look Slavic some time ago, and it would beat them up and police would just watch. How is that called? Neo-Nazism? Anyway, these are facts. That happened. There are video facts. There are there are recordings. There are even some arrests that were made in the past. So what happened to those people? Anyway, a lot of things in Russia these days just don't make much sense whatsoever. Like I said, logic, reason, and common sense have departed from my country. I really have hard time understanding politicians, understanding their reasons behind what they say. I fail to understand how they are not held responsible for what they say. Today they say one thing, tomorrow they say another thing that contradicts what they said today. It's incredible. It's really incredible. It looks chaotic in Russia right now, and it becomes more chaotic day by day. Unfortunately, I see if this continues to happen, there will be a huge dissonance in the heads of people, and that might lead to loss of control over Russia, and it might lead to civil war. This is just sad. This has been my message for today. Thank you so much for giving me a chance. Before I turn on the comments, where I would like you to comment and let me know if you agree, disagree, how you take my message. I would love to hear the feedback and your opinions. But before I do that, I'd like to ask you two things. First, please help spread my message by making reposts in the social media. And second, sign up for my Telegram channel, Inside Konstantin's Russia, where I keep you updating on things that happen, make announcements, and it's a very direct way to communicate with you. I make spontaneous streams sometimes. Today I made a stream from Dubai Marina, how it looks at night, and I usually make streams on what's happening behind the curtains of this YouTube channel. So please join the group and help spread my message. Thank you so much. And I am turning on the comments. The lighting is absolutely horrible. This new setup I have, I need to fine tune it. There you go. The comments are on. Mommy Lorna, Blackhead, Bob, Harry, Amir, howdy, mods. If you didn't know, we have the best mods on internet on this channel. Thank you so much for coming back. You are all legends and angels. I agree with Black Cat. Thank you so much, my friend. And the usual suspects, welcome back. I missed a couple days, just so tired. I couldn't make until midnight. I fell asleep 2 days in a row, so I apologize. Thank you for coming back. Pleasure to see you. As usual, if you want me to notice your comments or questions, please put them in caps and put inside Russia after @ so I see them in I see a large orange box appearing right next to them. Your questions and comments are welcome. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Please don't get upset if I don't get to your question. There are usually a lot of them. I see Jason Carney, Super Chat, thank you so much. I appreciate, thank you for your huge support for myself and Natasha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the champion super chatter and supporter of this channel. Thank you. Michael Mayo, thank you. Inside Russia, you look exhausted. Please remember that you owe it to yourself to take care of your family first. Look, I'm actually not too bad. It's just this lightning is absolutely horrible. It's making me look, I don't know. I slept for 2 hours before the stream, so I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling okay. Thank you. This is my setup on the go, and I bought a few things here in Dubai to supplement the streaming, couple pieces of lighting, things like that. So should be better, but I need to fine tune it a little bit. So thank you. Jason Carney has just given sponsorship to 10 people. Jason, again, thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. First comment in caps from Bruno. Greetings, Constantine, all mod ranchers and other people in the great community from Belgium. Excellent, thank you. Thank you so much. Bob S. Philip Myler. World of criminal has zero meaning, zero value. Yes, that's true. Bogdan, grumpy old Pole from Germany. Here I am again. Howdy, howdy. Good Abend. Jekyll N from Australia, thank you so much. Much appreciated support, thank you. Philo Girl, was the confiscation law introduced or proposed? Well, it's proposed. It was proposed by, it was mentioned as a fantasy by this guy, also politician. First, he was, incredible story. His last name is Tsekov. He was a communist. He was a communist politician, member of Soviet parliament, gives you an idea what kind of guy he is. In the 80s, then he lived in Ukraine. Then he became Ukrainian politician in the 90s, in 2000s. And then when 2014 happened and Russia annexed Crimea, he became Russian politician. He supported Russian annexation. He was given the position in the Russian parliament. So at the end of December, he kind of proposed something on top of his head, saying, oh, those who are abroad, we can't get them, so at least we should confiscate their property. And then Vyacheslav Volodin, and then Klysha said, you know what, he's delusional. Just don't listen to him, basically what he said. He didn't say it in these words, but his message was this guy wants to be heard. It's unconstitutional, it cannot be done. Then what Vyacheslav Volodin later said, you know what, these scoundrels, they pour dirt on Russia, and then they need to be prosecuted, need to take revenge on them. And, right now there's a group of concerned senators working on these guys, Incredible. They're working to, I don't know, I think they will introduce the law soon. They will introduce the law. It's just, how low can you fall? How lower than that can you fall? Incredible. It's the beard. Only keep it if Natasha prefers it. I usually go to barber, my barber in Tashkent, like nearby, and every 3 days. And now you're absolutely right. It's the beard. It's making me look older, not as great, not as refreshed, so to speak. And this freaking light that I bought, it's hard, it's not soft light, and it's straight into my face, and it's messing up the white balance of the camera. So anyway, wait for a couple days. I get back home, and then we'll see how I look there. Elena Errington had just became a member of Inside Russia. Thank you so much. Elena, thank you. I appreciate it. Sean, great to see you. Thank you for your support. Like today's theme, let's make this a wacky message. Michael is literally beating you up. Two black eyes. Yeah, right. You should see black and blue over here on my ribs. Thank you, Sean. Hugs to you. I'll be in touch soon. Mark Slane, thank you so much, Mark. Every dollar counts these days. Thank you for your support. You look sophisticated. Hey, you know what? The good news is I got a few more Boss shirts. The problem is the print is different. You see, they changed the print, they changed the brand, did the rebranding. Now it's the round, and I prefer the old style, the square ones. But nowadays, no one can claim that I wear same shirt and I don't, wash it and don't change it, because the shirts will be same, but the print will be different. I can't change print so fast. Marlene Ford, thank you so much. Like I said, every dollar and $2 count. That's great help. Thank you. Question, Lang, inside Russia, changing laws like a flipping coin or dropping hats is crazy house. Yes. And that's exactly what I mean. And it's really this experience of living. Well, I don't live in Russia anymore, but this is basically falling apart. My country, I'm witnessing my country falling apart. And it's easier to see from outside than if you are on the inside and you deal with it every single day. Panda, in this light, you need to wear makeup and job for Natasha. No, I'd rather change light than wear makeup, honestly. Julie W., thank you so much. Thank you, appreciate it. Support is much needed these days. James Bankhead, thank you. Thank you, appreciate it also. Luke King, the originator of fantastic questions. Thank you for your support. Do you think the timing of this criticism of Russians who left is only trying to stop another mass fleeing through this new mobilization? And why do you think the borders have not been closed? Said who? Said who they have not been closed? What are they worried about? They have been closed for over 8 million people, my friend. Yes. Now, let me answer your questions, but at first I'd like to say that we have a new sponsor, Tori Henning Asen. Welcome to Inside Russia. Thank you for joining the sponsorship. And Lorraine Prosnowski, great to see you. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate you just being on the channel for such a long time. Thank you. Luke, back to your question. I think that, first of all, it's not them trying to stop another mass fleeing through this mobilization. No, that is all taken care of. What they have done is learn from their mistakes. There's this new super duper, very effective super database exists already in operation in Russia. And they can turn it on for all Russians, or they have turned it on selectively for a few categories of Russians that they are mobilizing right now. Okay, so therefore they're not worried about mass fleeing. It's controlled now. What they're trying to do, I think it's more of there's two things. First is it's an emotional revenge type of thing, because a lot of Russians have fled, and the biggest problem here the Russian authorities cannot get to them. At least it's not very easy at all, okay? And that's driving them crazy. And the second, I think all politicians have been given the goal to support, how do I say that? To support putting the hand of the government deeper into Russians' pockets. Basically, Russian budget, like I said just recently, Russian budget is not doing well. Russian economy is in free fall. Okay, the oil was being traded at 50 a few days ago. Now it's even lower. Russian's government needs every single possible way to somehow compensate this, to make money. So therefore, one of the ways is to seize the property. The problem is, you know what's going to happen next? Let's say they introduce this law, okay, and they say, well, Russians who are outside of Russia, the property will be confiscated, given to a certain commission, and commission will be responsible for selling it. Well, there will be people coming to the commission saying, hey, I really like this apartment, and this guy is abroad. Let's say that he's pouring dirt on Russia, and I'll get his apartment for cheap. You sell me offline. You sell it to me later, like online or whatever. You know, let's work out some deal. And these deals will be made en masse, okay? And these properties will go to friends of authorities, you know, families of authorities, families of people who are employed at certain agencies, and so forth. So I already see it happening. That's Russia for you. Copley Hell, take care, it will be the light, but you have very deep dark circles. The thing is, light is beaming from a little bit the bottom, therefore, you know, the circles are created. If I put light right in front of me, there will be no circles. But the circles look atrocious on the screen. Let me just, oh my gosh. It's bad. I should shut it off altogether, you know. Let's see if it works. Hang on. No, it's even bigger. How about now? Hey. Make it a little bit warmer. I'm putting it right here. A little bit less bright. Let's see how it works. The circles are a little better. So it's all about lightning. It's tricky, you know. Angie, how you doing? You look really tired. Thank you, Angie. I'm tired. This vacation is really weirding me out because we run around. Dubai is one of the things about Dubai. It's huge, and you just think, oh, I'm gonna walk from my hotel to a subway, but then it's like 25-minute walk, and it's kind of like right next to you on the map, but you have to walk 25 minutes, and you have to cross a couple big, huge highways and things like that, you know. Once you get off subway, you go to Dubai Mall, you have to walk from subway inside through the galleries for like another 15-20 minutes just to get to the mall. You get to the mall, it's like a few football fields, and you're on foot all the time, and it gets to you. Before that, I spent 3 days at a water park running around, keeping up with Michael. doing everything he wanted to do, and trust me, workout after workout. So I'm a little tired, but you know what? I'm not complaining. This is a vacation. That's okay. That's definitely good. Black Cat, thank you so much for gifting the sponsorship. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jason Carney, another $20. Thank you, Jason. My appreciation. Thank you so much. I'm gonna definitely talk about it tomorrow with Natasha, and just show it to her. Franca La Loguidice. I apologize if I pronounced the name wrong. Have you read the Wall Street Journal article that Scholz will not send tanks to Ukraine as long as the US won't send heavy tanks? What a moron. I did not read the article. I haven't heard about that. I've been very limited in reading news because I leave in the morning and I come back at evening, kind of. I prepare for the stream and that's it, but I will look into it. Thank you. Philogirl, the confiscation guy is a horrible hypocrite. Get those properties sold if you can. Tell me about it. PW6805, hi from Sweden. Do you see any future for Putin and Russia after this more or less fiasco? No. He's done. He's done. He understands that. It's like, what is this comparison I can make to? Imagine a guy who needs to run all the time. If he stops, he falls dead. He keeps on running, basically. He keeps on running and running and running, and that's Putin. He needs to keep on escalating, keep on going, keep on blaming in order to remain at power. There's just no around it. No way around it. He knows that the minute he admits that he made a mistake or someone else from his circle made a mistake, that's gonna be the end of it. Claudia, you look so strong. I don't know what to say. As usual. Joy, I survived food trying to kill me. I feel like a human again. I tried listening a couple times, just couldn't. Well, Joy, welcome back. We missed you. We've been talking about you with the mods. Where's Joy? I pray we get to the day where it's safe to go to Russia and it's a fun place to go hang with the people and vice versa. Dr. Detroit, I pray for this day to come too. It's just, I don't know where it comes. The new boss shirt looks good. The blue trim is hip. Thank you. Jones Rames. I got the blue, I got the green, and I got a plain white t-shirt, and I got something else, So I definitely paid a visit to the Boss store. Fortunately, they have it in Dubai in every shopping mall. Black Cat, another 5 sponsorships. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. You need a light with a lower color temperature. You mean higher? I need more of a, I think, more of. think I need more. It's a bicolor light. I think I need a little bit of warmth. Put a white towel over the light. There are two lights. One is supposed to be soft already, and it's not. Another one I'm using is a regular room light. That's in hotel room, and there's a shirt over that light. So I know the deal. It's just this is the experiment. This is the first try. Dave Strains is here. Howdy, howdy. Looking good, but with two black eyes. Panda chat looks like boss has changed logo. Yes, it does. I don't like it. I asked them to see if they have any shirts left. It's been a year since they changed logo, and I haven't shopped in a long time. So they did. They said they couldn't locate any shirts, all sold out. So therefore, we are to the new logo, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Keith Jones, will Putin announce mobilization tomorrow? This speech that he made today, it's full of hidden messages. The biggest message is we are in for a long, long haul. We're not gonna stop, and it's not gonna stop soon. I quote, "We were just led by the nose, deceived. This is not the first time this has happened to us, and it continues happening. It means we've had enough. We're done. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. We are to fight. We are to stand up. This is a long, long war." And mobilization was announced yesterday, or was it day before yesterday, by Shoigu, who basically said, okay, now we start increasing military by 350,000 people. We're gonna do it over a period of time. But do you honestly think they're gonna wait until 2024 to get more people into the military? So what they're doing is they are packaging. They have marketologists. They're packaging this information into a wrap that is somewhat pleasant, somewhat safe, and somewhat smells nice. They put cologne all over it. But what's inside, it's nasty. But they're wrapping it around in a good package. Probably the best way is do packaging. And they're actually doing a pretty good job at that, because they are selling it stepping stone by stepping stone. They're making Russians get used to it. They're making Russians believe that it's safe to remain in Russia. It's safe because, that's over, mobilization over, it's not going to touch me. But what about those 8 million people who are not allowed to leave Russia? What about those people who get mobilized left and right still? I personally know 2 people in Rostov who in the recent 2 weeks, have been mobilized. One successfully, one ran away, but he's going to be under criminal investigation now. And what about people who started getting investigated by the Central Investigation Committee today for mobilization dodging in the last 4 months? Is anyone talking about that? It's a fact. The hunt for those started. Basically, what happens if they serve you повестка, the document, you are a subject of certain procedures. And if you fail to show up at the mobilization center, then you are a subject of criminal investigation. Before, there were few cases, very few cases, of actually them investigating and putting you to prison, giving you the term for that. But it has started, okay? So these little things, they add up into one large picture, okay? There are many, many facts that are happening right now. Will Putin announce mobilization tomorrow? Most likely not, but he announced it today in a way. He said that, look, we are at war. We are, we've been deceived. We're in the long haul for that. And we're standing up for ourselves. What else do you need to know? Jimmy Penrose, HCOM Maine. Maine is in the house. Jimmy, believe it or not, but they have Canadian lobsters, almost Maine lobsters here in Dubai. Probably there are fancy places where they serve Maine lobsters. I haven't been to those, but I've seen Canadian lobsters. Luke King, there seemed to be you are either with us or against us attitude now. 100%, Luke. 100%. You nailed it. Absolutely right. I'm thinking of doing a stream just on that, giving the facts as well. Will it go back to the USSR days of neighbors dubbing on neighbors? It's happening now. It will not go. We're there, and all that sort of stuff, even among the younger people not born in the USSR. Most likely not among young people. At least I haven't heard of, younger people reporting their friends. But I've seen older people reporting. So we're back to the USSR. We are back with a bang, We're there so much already. One of the upcoming streams, I keep on discussing this thing with Natasha. One of the upcoming streams is just about this. How the signs that we are already back into the USSR. The USSR was a lot of things. And people remember shortages, lack of food, things like that. But it wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing is, well, I'll talk in the stream about that. But you're also absolutely right. It's you either with us or against us attitude. Well, I think we'll understand how it's going to go down. Once 24th of February started, a lot of things were very clear to me about the economy, about this power getting more and more control, becoming more totalitarianistic and more totalitarianistic, month by month and so forth. So it's not really a surprise. Lori Hill, Bandera was not a nice man. U.S. even acknowledged this, and while we did not train their Azov battalion for ideological beliefs, we don't condemn the whole country for the deeds of the few. I agree with the fact that Bandera was not a nice man. There have been many facts of him and his, people committing crimes. Anyway, this is a history. I'm not going to dive into that history. My personal attitude, I'm not a supporter of Bandera, but in the history of Russia, Ukraine, and other countries, in the history that dates, 100 years ago, 70 years ago, there were numerous, figures that are not nice, that had some crimes committed by them or their regimes, their governments, their groups. Take any country. I don't know, just any really. Take Italy, take Spain, take Russia, take Sweden, take, I don't know, just anyone, any country. And you will find black spots in the history. I mean, we're all human beings, right? It's just, I tell you this. I spent over a year in Ukraine in the recent, I would say, 13 years. I traveled to Ukraine numerous times. Before 2014, after 2014. I still keep on talking to Ukrainians daily. And I did not see one Nazi. I did not see one Nazi in that country. Just like us, nice people, families, kids, same language, you know, just same culture, same everything. Not one single Nazi. No fascism there, definitely. The question is, what are we fighting? Who are we fighting? Deborah Casey, hello Constantine. Now I see why Putin sits at the end of a long table. He's so short he doesn't look threatening to others. Well, before he didn't sit at the long tables. You know, before he mingled with people, he would just remember that infamous Paul McCartney concert on the Red Square, 2003, I believe, 2004 perhaps, 2004. Paul McCartney giving a concert on the Red Square, and somewhere in the middle of his concert, Vladimir Putin, with just very few, like 4 or 5 bodyguards, walks out of the Kremlin, you know, and gets a seat among people. And everyone starts cheering Vladimir Putin, and then he says, please don't, you know, this is the concert of Maestro, you know, it's not my show, it's his. And he smiles, and I looked at that. I remember that news. I watched the video. I watched, you know, back then, and I was like, "Wow, this guy actually is a human being." You know, he's not like some, you know, whatever, like Yeltsin or other presidents. He actually mingles with people. He sits among people. Wow, this. Anyway, obviously, many things happened to Putin. Now he sits at the end of long table. He was laying, like I said earlier, he was laying flowers. Is that the right word? To lay flowers to the monument of the besieged people of Leningrad. And there was a footage. They filmed him. There was no one around. He was by himself. So alone. It freaking hurt to watch that, okay? And just all around him, just the bodyguards. Incredible. Look at that picture. You have it available on internet. It's pretty insane. Imagine how the life of this guy is so lonely. 777 Donnie, thank you so much. Appreciate your support very much. Thank you. And Vicky McCollum, there's a question. Just came to the chat watching my little grandsons today. Thank you, Vicky. Great to have you. Thank you so much. There's a good question from Bruno. Did you knew that former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder is a CEO or some high-ranked person from Gazprom Russia? Of course I have. Greetings from Belgium. Of course I have. The question is, have you heard? Because he's German. I mean, you're Belgian, but not German. But have Germans heard about that? Have they said anything about that? Because the guy has been in cahoots with Putin since, like, after he was over with his job in Germany. He's been a board of directors of Gazprom for, I don't know, 15 years probably now, making good money, and he's been liaison of Putin between Putin and lots of business people in Germany and so forth, you know. So I know all of that. And you must live stream on Rumble. They can't trace you. And If they want to trace me, trust me, they can trace me in 5 minutes. In Uzbekistan, it's so easy to trace a person. Okay, I don't want to run in the mountains from location to location, hiding somewhere in the caves. I'm not Osama bin Laden. So, no, I won't be streaming on Rumble. I like YouTube. I like what I built here. I like the platform. There are so many people I reach. My message reaches. So I'm gonna stay here. Marsha, I see on 1420 videos so many people still think everything is okay. They're doing fine. It's heartbreaking. Ukraine is not okay. I hope they can see what's going on somehow. Marsha, this is such a difficult topic. You're hitting me in my heart, with this question. See, one of the biggest tragedies that are happening is a lot of Russians, a lot of people I know, a lot of good Russians, loving people, somehow they don't have empathy for Ukrainians. They don't really feel bad about what's going on with regular people. They take this situation as a virtual reality game. That is something happening to some people far away. Doesn't concern us, okay? And I don't understand why. This is one of the biggest mysteries that has been in front of my eyes in the past 10 months. I don't know what to tell you. You're absolutely right. They think that everything is okay. They think that they're doing fine, Russia's doing fine. And a lot of people think, well, you see, this economy is not doing well. It's a fact now. You cannot hide from it. Well, but we've been there before. There were crises in 1998, 2008, 2014, 15, I would say, 15. We struggled, but we survived. We will survive this time. Little do they understand that this time is different. It's not your typical regular crisis. It's Russia destroying another country. It's Russia being isolated. It's Russia being punished. It's Russia is shooting into its feet. And, this is different. That's not going to be just business as usual in a couple years. It's going to get worse and worse. Anyway. Yanis Lipins, Germany will not give thanks to Ukraine. Wow. I gotta, investigate this news. I haven't heard anything. John Forrest, so scary for all the good folk that locked in the madhouse now with these creatures. If they enact the proposed confiscation law, next could be anyone. John, you are so right to the point. Next will be people who haven't left Russia, but who are inside Russia. Remember, there was a very good question from Luke. He said it's us versus them mentality. Okay, you are without us, or you're without not. Are you with us, or you're not with us? If you're with us, okay, but you're not with us. If you don't stand up and sing, glory to our troops killing Ukrainians, whatever, things like that, then we'll confiscate we'll freeze your bank account, we'll take away your house, we'll take away your apartment. Why? Well, obviously you're not with us, and whoever is not with us gets punished. You watch. If this madness continues for long enough, this will happen, because it's not the first time. Learn the history lessons. Everything We're not inventing anything new. Everything already happened in the past. Even in Russia, it happened, okay? In the 30s, it happened because people were informing the authorities that someone said something inappropriate, that someone would get would get arrested and people would get their property. But then people would get shot themselves after that. You know, we've been there before. And we're very fast going that way again. So, pretty darn spot on comment, you know. Grace Philosophy, howdy. Did you get my message on Patreon? Many hugs. Sending hugs back. Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. I appreciate it. Lisa, boss logo change is like when discontinue your favorite lipstick color. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know. Brian, disturbing message. Got so much to say, but can't get it all in one message. Received, thank you. The word you mean is lightning? Lightning, that's right. Borscht logo. That's funny. John, hi Constantine from UK. Thank you, John. Hello. There are so many people from the UK all around. It's Indians, English, and Russians. That's probably 80% of tourists in Dubai right now. So one Ukrainian today with a huge shirt with Ukrainian colors and trident. Heather, great to see you. I'm astounded by the support I see coming from the Westerners for this war. Well, you tell me. I don't really see much support from the Westerners because I just don't see what's going on there. But great to see you. Joe's Rames, wonder what the Aussie will do if YouTube gets banned. He can always sign a contract. Didn't get this message, sorry. And Rumble pays 10% more than YouTube. And you see, it's not about money. It's not about money. It's about... I have invested so much time, so many efforts into YouTube. I feel YouTube is my home, you know. I don't want to change it for anything. I feel comfortable here. I have so many people who support me here. If I switch to something else, I mean, what happens to majority of people who are not on Rumble? Okay, what about the usual suspect? This community. I really. I'll stay on YouTube as long as I can. If YouTube calls me up one day, says, Constantine, you know what, we want to shut down your channel. You know, we just don't like your face, then I'll move to Rumble. But before that happens, I'll be here. Now, if I really wanted to make money, what I would do is I would run to Rumble and I would start the same thing on Rumble. But, you know... like, I'm a YouTuber. Stephen Saib, do Russians have access to Atlas VPN? Stephen, thank you. It's a very good question for one simple reason. It's not a question about Atlas VPN or any other VPN. It's the question about Russians do Russians have access to information? Yes, they do. Russians can install any VPN service whatsoever. There are free ones, there are paid ones, there are good ones, there are bad ones, but there are so many VPN services available. But the thing is, you don't even need a VPN to get the information from the outside world. I did a stream a few months ago where I actually took quite a few media outlets in the West, and I started just putting the name and saying if it opens on my computer without VPN. Everything opened. All American media, all British media. I think the only one who's banned is Deutsche Welle. That's it. Russian media outlets such as Serebrenny Dozhd, Medusa, that are operating outside of Russia, giving truthful information, they're available on YouTube, and YouTube is not banned. So Russians do have access to VPN services, but the thing is, don't need to. There's everything available. People ask me, Konstantin, why don't you do Russian subtitles? For what? Russians have so much more information available to them than me. They have information from real professional reporters coming, okay? There are like 100 times more available out there than what I say. So it's just a matter of them taking their hands and reaching out. And that's nothing more, nothing less. Jimmy Penrose, have the Russian borders have been closed officially? They have not been closed officially, okay? And they will be not closed officially. But they're closed for a certain category or certain categories of people. You gotta understand, even the USSR did not have closed borders. You could leave the USSR easily, but you would need to go through certain procedures. These procedures, you go to apply for a passport. In the USSR, you'd go to apply for a passport. They give you a number of documents you have to come up with. Your health status, your document from where you live that you don't have any debts. You go to the document, it's called характеристика, basically opinion on you from your work, from your colleagues. You go and ask, I need this document, I need your opinion on me. And they write an official document, oh, we think Konstantin is such and such, And then there was a long list of documents. You collect all the documents, then you give it to KGB, and then they decide whether they let you out or not. So, and if they do, they give you the passport, the permission, exit visa, and you buy a ticket and you fly out of the USSR. But it was really difficult to get that. The thing is, USSR border was not closed officially, but, it was closed. So officially, Russian borders will not be closed. But unofficially, they're closed for a certain category of people. A guy I know is stuck in Moscow now. He flew to Russia for the holidays. He cannot fly back. He's trying to find his way through. Well, I'm not going to tell you here how, but he's trying his dearest, biggest, whatever, strongest to fly back to Uzbekistan, but no luck so far. That tells you how open the Russian borders are. Great philosophy. I have told Lorna that I'll continue listening, but like yourself, I'm upsettingly tired. If it was possible, I would sue. Many hugs to you and your family. Thank you so much, Grace. I read the messages. I replied, I understand. No worries, you're always with us in our hearts and in our minds. Thank you. El Howry, when you look up tanks, it's Leopard 2. Tanks Germany is giving eventually. Thank you so much for the information. Lisa Kumrian, just by applying to immigrate from USSR, you were blacklisted. Yep. Black Cat, Lorna says time. Okay. Okie dokie. Wow. Vivian Keen, do you watch Vladimir Zolkin on YouTube? Watched a couple times, I believe. I don't have much to watch anything outside of the streams. When I prepare for the streams, I watch news outlets on YouTube. I watch, this type of things. But Lorna must be time to make dinner. Okay, my friends, thank you so much. It's been a long but very fulfilling message for me because I missed doing the streams. Missed 2 days. Really, it's like an addiction to me, I really like doing it. I would like to finish this stream with a prayer, a quick one. Let's please join me in prayer. Let's pray for people of Ukraine, people of Russia, and people in general. Thank you. Dear God, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables, putting roofs over our heads, and surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Thank you for that. Thank you for giving us our children, and thank you for keeping them safe and healthy. Please continue to do so. If any of our children get sick, please send speedy recovery. Please give us wisdom to raise our children the way that when they grow up, they make this place a better world, and they will never engage into a war with each other. Dear God, please help stop bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch hearts, heads of souls of people who are responsible for making decisions to stop the bloodshed. Please reach out and touch them in the way you know how to touch, so they make the decision to stop. And please help all the Ukrainians who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer their prayers, make their wishes come true, give them strength, recovery, soothe their souls, please. Wipe their tears. I'm also asking to help the families of those who died, who were killed in Dnieper recently, and please have their souls rest in peace and invite them to your kingdom of heaven. Please help everyone who has been affected and send the angel to every single person who has been affected, so everyone is kept out of harm's way. Please help my country, Russia. Send the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country. Make it right again. Make it shine, please. Make it run by the angels. Make it peaceful country and good neighbor to the others. We really need that. Please help the ones who are traveling. Please help the ones who are hungry, homeless, who are losing their faith or have questions in their faith, who are jobless. Provide help everyone in the way you know how to help. Thank you. Please help those who are seeking political asylum at countries running from harm that can be done to them in their countries. Send good people their way, and provide help, please. I want to ask for all of us. Please help us send the peaceful skies above our all heads of all of us. May please send your help so we're surrounded by people who we love and who love us. We're surrounded by children, by the families, parents, or grandparents, the loved ones. And all of that would happen underneath the peaceful skies. We would be fed and would be healthy. A lot of people are suffering right now. A lot of children suffering. Please send recovery to all and help everyone in the way you know how to help, so people will start smiling more. I'm asking for pregnant women who are trying to make this very important decision whether to keep their babies or not. Reach out and talk to them so they make the right choice. I'm thanking you for allowing us to assemble in this community that is both online and offline. Thank you so very much for that. And this community is changing some of our lives. Some people becoming friends in real life who met here, and thank you for that. Thank you for allowing us to come together and pray here. And please, everyone, help everyone who is praying with me right now or just watching us pray. Hear everyone's prayer and answer it, and make everyone's wish come true. There is a list of people who have reached out and asked for help. I'm asking you to help every single person on the list. You know them better than I do. You know their needs better than I do, and you know how to help them better than I do. I'm asking for all of them, for each one. Please show your miracle to every single person who is in my notebook. And I would like to specifically ask for a few kids. They are Cadence, Sebastian, Maverick, Marty, Tio. Please send recovery and send them home to their loving families so they have healthy and long lives, and help their families, give them strength. I'm also asking for all children of Ukraine who have been affected by tragedy, and all children of Russia who also have been affected. Thank you so much, dear God, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you so very much for joining me today. Thank you for giving me another chance. I want to tell you that you are absolutely awesome and you rock. I will see you tomorrow. There will be another message tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and as usual. Thank you so much. at the end, as usual, Carthago delenda est.